Welcome back to another episode of Those Two Dudes. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Man, welcome back. Post-Thanksgiving, we're still stuffed. All good. Glad to be back and back just in time. Got so much to talk about. Thank God there's so much drama in sports because we're here for it. As you can see in my background for everyone that's watching except Spotify, you can see it's Ann Arbor, Michigan. Huge upset this past weekend. My lock of the week was Ohio State minus 7.5. Obviously that failed because and to be honest with you, I stand by that bet. I still don't know how Michigan won this game. I really don't.
I mean, going by history, it wasn't a terrible bet, but yeah, Michigan owned them finally for the first time.
The whole game they owned them.
Years. Jim Harbaugh got his big win. Looks like he's definitely going to be off the hot seat at least for a while now.
Yeah, 100%.
Congrats to them, and it shook things up in the college football playoff too. So
big time, shook things up. Congrats to Harbaugh. Like you said, it did remove him from the hot seat. That's a guy that he's probably on the hot seat year in and year out. This definitely removed him, and they're one win away from being in the playoffs. That's awesome. So yeah, huge congrats to Michigan. That's obviously a great fan base, one of, if not the greatest college town in America, and Ann Arbor. So awesome to see them have success, make that playoffs. But yeah, we'll dive into it. Before we dive into it, guys, as always, check us out, Instagram at Those Two Dudes Podcast, on Instagram and TikTok, Those Two Dudes, Facebook, Spotify, Twitter. I'm sure there's other places too. I don't even know. Check us out, guys. Leave us notes, leave us comments. Let us know what we messed up on. Critique us on our picks, make fun of us because, you know, our picks are hit or miss, but we still stand by them. Let's jump in.
How did you do real quick? How did you do on your picks outside of your lock?
So let me tell you right now. So you and I both had the Cowboys as our picks on Thanksgiving.
How did I do?
I got the picks right here. So okay. I had Oregon minus 7. They covered. I had Michigan State +1. They covered. I had Minnesota +7. They covered. Dallas minus 8. They lost, and then Ohio State minus 8. They lost.
Hey, 3-2. That's not bad.
3-2. Yeah, I was 3-2 last week. You had Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, they lost. Oklahoma +4. That didn't cover. Oklahoma State won by 5, I think. Yeah, 38-33, I think. That was the score. That's money lines, man. Kentucky +3. I don't know. Did they cover?
Yeah, they drilled Louisville.
Okay, cool. They covered. Cincinnati -14. They covered.
Mm-hmm.
And then North Carolina +6.5 against NC State. I don't think they covered. I think NC State whooped them, didn't they?
Wait, what was the score?
Did
they cover?
I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So this was last week. NC State won by 4. So they covered.
3-2?
3-2.
Look at that. Combined.
Hey, that's some money makers right there. Combined, right? 6 and 4.
Yeah, that's winning. That is definitely winning.
That's winning. Go win some money, guys. Listen to us. This is winning. So yeah, we'll get into some picks here in a little bit too. We always talk about that. That's fun. But first, let's get into the NFL. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the NFL. One big thing that I did see this weekend is the Steelers. And the reason I saw that is because I took the Steelers in the spread to cover the spread against the Bengals, only to see Big Ben throw 4 picks and just get walloped by the Bengals.
I was wondering where this topic question came from that you threw at me, because I was looking at it there. I was like, what is this? I didn't really like it, to be honest, but okay. He cost you some money. So I see.
Well, no, I mean, so look, my question is, I mean, I think it's safe to say that this is Big Ben's last year in Pittsburgh, or his last year in the NFL, rather.
There's a good chance.
Yeah. So, so the Steelers are last in their division. They have the 5th worst record in the AFC. At what point, if not now,
Oh my gosh.
do the Steelers bench Roethlisberger for the rest of the season and start to plan ahead?
That's a good way to spin a narrative there. Last in their division, fifth, fifth last in the AFC. I mean, they're sitting at 500, about a half a game back to the final playoff spot.
They're only at 500. They're only at 500 because they refuse to win the game against the Lions in which they tied. They either refuse to win or the Lions refuse to win. Whatever way you want to, whatever narrative you want to spin,
I think
they both refuse to win.
Big Ben didn't even play that game.
It doesn't matter. They had the game
We're
at
talking
home.
about Big Ben. This is about what is the question exactly? Is should the Steelers bench Big Ben or something like that?
Should they just sit him for the remainder of the season?
Okay. Yeah. No. What do you mean? He's been their quarterback since 2004. He's thrown for over 60,000 yards. If you just want to narrow it down to what's he doing this year, his stats are still fine. I mean, 14 touchdowns to 6 picks. He still got about an 89 QBR. Throw for over 2,500 yards. Again, they're 500 and they're about a half game back for that final playoff spot. So no, you don't. You let that man ride it out. He's done 2 Super Bowls for that franchise. Yeah, let him go out.
Okay. Well, Eli Manning didn't get the same treatment before he left, and he won that franchise 2 Super Bowls.
The Giants were terrible.
Okay, so let me kind of rephrase it a different way. If let's say in 3 weeks or 4 weeks they lose the next 4, just throwing a hypothetical your way, they lose the next 4, they put themselves out of playoff contention. Do then you sit Big Ben or do you let him ride out the rest of the season?
Perhaps they got Haskins, right? He's on the roster.
Haskins is a 3rd string quarterback. The 2nd string is Mason Rudolph.
Well, I'm pretty sure we all know we can agree Rudolph isn't their future, right?
Yeah, and I don't even know why he's number 2 at this point. He had all of last season, and you can see he's just not the answer.
If you want to throw Haskins in there, if you're like 5-9 or something, you know you're done, just to see if possibly maybe he could still be that guy that the Washington football team assumed he was going to be. Out of Ohio State, maybe give him a chance. He's still only 24, I believe. Throw him in there, see what he's got to see for sure if you want to go with him or not. But other than that, I mean, if they're even somewhat in the playoff race, doing decent 500, just let Big Ben ride it out. And then y'all can at the front office and Big Ben and the coach, they can all have the conversation of what's going to happen going into the off season, and they can go from there. But I think Big Ben, as long as the Steelers are even competitive, has earned his right to finish out this season at least.
Okay. I mean, and you're not wrong because Big Ben he's so hot and cold. He can have moments where he just lights it up like he did a couple weeks ago against the Chargers, even though they still lost. He can still light it up. They can still put up points. And then he can have games like he did in Cincinnati where he's throwing 3-4 picks and they're just not doing well. I think they don't have a backup plan. So whether it's good or bad, you have to roll with Big Ben. So it is what it is. I think that they should definitely be in the QB offseason race for these potential quarterbacks that are going to be hitting the free agency market, because I know that the draft isn't really deep with quarterbacks this upcoming year.
Right.
But that leads me to my next topic of quarterbacks that they should be chasing this offseason. Is this Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle?
See, this one's look, I think so. I have no idea really, but sure. I get the feeling. Seattle was great for a good chunk of time this past decade or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like, look, the NFC West is stacked. The other 3 teams all have winning records right now. Arizona's on the up and up. They got the best record in the NFL. San Francisco has been in the Super Bowl in the last couple of years. They're turning it on right now.
Yeah.
The LA Rams, we all know they're a very good football team as well. They're all younger, I guess, or they haven't been around as. It feels like those teams are on the up and up, whereas Seattle's kind of falling down. Wilson's taken a lot of hits over the last few years. Pete Carroll's getting old. It just feels like Seattle might be that team in the division that's going to be at the bottom for the next couple of years or so. So, I think I get the hunch that this might be Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle. So that's just my feeling.
100%. I'm with you all the way. It definitely is. And it's not an Aaron Rodgers situation where Aaron, you didn't know if he was going to play with the Packers again or not this season, but he had such a good team. So why wouldn't he come back? The Seahawks aren't that good on paper. Right. Like they don't have a good defense. Jamal Adams is absolutely overrated. I'm not sure why people are still talking to him as an elite safety. He's not. They don't have a running game to save their lives. Russell Wilson is always on the run. They don't have an O-line. Tyler Lockett, obviously he's their best receiver. Metcalf could definitely be a good receiver, but this year he's just not getting the targets and the looks. And I don't know if it's because Russ is always on the run, but man, he just has to. Yeah, this is definitely his last year. It is. I mean, so he's going to be his name is going to be in the hat of free agents that teams like Pittsburgh could make a run for this offseason.
Yeah, I agree. So,
I mean, yeah. And looking at the rankings, Seattle has the second worst record in the NFC.
They're 3-8.
Yeah,
they ain't going nowhere this year, that's for sure. And again, the NFC West is on the up and up. All four teams in the division can't be all very good for a long period of time. Eventually, somebody's going to drop off and fall to the back of that bus. Yeah, and I have a hunch it's Seattle. I mean, they've had their run. I think that run's coming to an end. So, all runs come to an end. I think Seattle's little run and NFC's coming.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously Russell Wilson, that's an MVP caliber quarterback that's going to be hitting the free agency mark. Speaking of MVPs, who do you have so far? Who's your MVP this season?
I mean, look, we still got like a half a season to go.
Yeah.
There's a handful. There's probably more than a handful of candidates. A few: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, and here's one non-quarterback for you. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
He put up over 1,200 yards already this season and 14 touchdowns with like a crazy 5.8 yards per carry average. So the dude's putting up crazy numbers. On top of that, the Colts are on fire right now. I know they just lost to the Bucs in a close game, but they won 5 of their last 7 games. That's even gotten them to being in the playoff picture. They're sitting at 6-6. Granted, for him to possibly win it, the Colts need to stay hot and they need to make a playoff push, I believe. But yeah, there's a non-quarterback for you.
That's good. I like that. I do like that. That's a good pick. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, man, he's a workhorse. He's a workhorse for the Colts. And that's not actually something that he isn't used to, because before that he was at Wisconsin and he was a workhorse for them, for the University of Wisconsin. So he was a beast. Yeah. So it's good to see him doing good with the Colts. I think you kind of said it with the two quarterbacks you said, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. I think those are 1A and 1B in the MVP race.
You want to throw Kyler Murray in there too?
I don't want to throw him in there just because he hasn't been healthy. He's missed some time, and traditionally a quarterback, plays majority, if not the entire season. So he's kind of been banged up. That's not to take anything away from what he's been doing this season. The Cardinals have the best record in the NFL. So
now, I wasn't giving it to Jonathan Taylor. I'm just saying those were two candidates I have. I don't have technically a favorite right now, but if I had to pick somebody, I'm probably going to lean Tom Brady. At this point, I don't bet against Tom Brady. Just Tom. There you go. So
at this point, I have Tom Brady second. I have Aaron Rodgers first.
That's fine. I like that.
I mean, what he's done. I mean, obviously their team is stacked, but I'm thinking about the game where they went into Arizona and they gave the Cardinals their first loss, and he did that without his top 2 receivers, or I think even his top 3 receivers. So that's Aaron Rodgers. So yeah. I don't know, but either way, you can't go wrong with these. How old is Aaron Rodgers? He's like in his late 30s, right? 36?
36, somewhere in that. I think I could be wrong on that. That's my guess. But do you think the NFL wants him to win it with that all that COVID stuff that was going on for a while there with him? And
does the NFL want him to win it?
Yeah, man, I think a lot of this stuff comes down, does the NFL want you to win it? Because look, they have the final say. And if you're going to be a bad ambassador for the NFL, then you might not get that nod, no matter how good you got.
I don't know. I mean, so are you implying? Are you implying that the NFL didn't want him to win it any of the other years except for one?
Nah, I don't know. I mean, look, any of these kinds of awards, even in the NBA, like they could give it to LeBron every year if they want, if they really wanted to give it to the best player in the league every year.
Yeah.
But that's not how this stuff works. You know, they want to spread the wealth around. They want to create more brands for their league. So they kind of spread it around a little bit. Of course, that's how this works. So,
that's fair. And that's a great argument, specifically for individual awards. So yeah, I see your point. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Kyler won. It wouldn't surprise me, if somebody else that hasn't even emerged as of what we're saying today comes up and wins. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe Matt Stafford rebounds from these games, these awful 3-game losing streak that he's had, which I saw in a very interesting stat about Matt Stafford today. He's never won a game against a team that's been at least 5 games above 500. Ever.
That is a pretty. I mean, granted, he's been with the Detroit Lions his whole career until this year, but still, that's a pretty crazy stat.
That's a crazy stat. And
he's been in the league for a long time now.
He's been in the league for a while. You can blame it on Detroit. I
blame a lot of that on Detroit.
Yeah, but he's had some teams. He's been to the playoffs a couple times with Detroit. So
now if that still doesn't happen this year with the Rams, that might be on him a little bit because they're stacked. He's in the best position he could be in. So
they have stacked. They added Von Miller. They added OBJ. I mean, what is it? Yeah, you need. Well, they're gonna have to win against much better opponents, especially. And I don't know. He's never won a game in the playoffs either. So, to rest your Super Bowl hopes on somebody that's never won a playoff game.
That was that's been my pick all along. So yeah, that's not looking great at the moment. They're still in the mix.
They're still 100%. They can still win the division. That's not. Yeah. But also, they could still win the division. They could also still not make the playoffs. So that's just a thing that could happen. So pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, that's all our NFL news, right?
Yeah, that's all the NFL news we got. You want to jump into college or you want to talk picks?
I don't have any games on top right now. If you want to throw some games out there, we could do that, and then we could transition from picks to college, or we could do vice versa. It doesn't matter.
I'll throw some games out there real quick at you. Let me know. This is picks. This is money, guys. Get your wallets out.
It's conference championship week in college football.
Championship.
Big week of college.
Huge
football.
games. Get your wallets out. Let's go. Okay. Conference championship games start Friday. They got 2 of them. Josh, your UTSA Roadrunners versus Western Kentucky at the Alamo Dome. UTSA is the underdog.
So I already did a 14 parlay with championship games this week.
Yeah.
I didn't include that game because I don't really know. I don't know. I didn't watch their game against North Texas this week, but they got blown out after going 11-0 the first 11 games. They play a bad North Texas team and get blown out. I was wondering, are they sitting people? Are they just getting prepared for the conference championship? I don't think they did. I think they just got blown out, it's a little bit of a head scratcher.
It's not. They weren't as good as
Western Kentucky. They're red hot, and they got Bailey Zappi, their quarterback. He transferred from an FCS school, Houston Baptist, who he nearly beat Texas Tech with last year. The dude is a stud at QB. And look, Western Kentucky just went into Marshall. They had to win that game to get to the conference. That was for their side of the conference. The winner of that game was going to play UTSA. They went over there. They started off, I think, down 14-0, and then they just killed them after that.
I think it was 50. I'm looking at the score. They beat them 53-21.
Yeah, and it was 14-0 Marshall to start the game, I believe, or 13-0, something like that.
Crazy.
But yeah, that kid, not only did they get him from Houston Baptist, they got, I think, his 2 leading receivers too, and their offensive coordinator. Western Kentucky took Houston Baptist quarterback, OC, and 2 leading receivers, I believe, and put them on Western Kentucky. And here they are in the conference championship, and they're red hot. So yeah, I'm not sold on that game. I don't know.
So the line is Western Kentucky minus
3, right?
3.
3, yeah. Western Kentucky minus 3.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yes, that's and that spread also is a little head scratching considering they're 8-4. UTSA was undefeated until last week, and they're the underdogs. I believe the game's probably at UTSA as well.
It's at the Alamo Dome.
Alamo Dome, and they're still 3-point dogs. Yeah, that's an interesting line. So I stayed away from it, honestly. If I had a guess, I'm going to go with the hot team and the team that has a very good quarterback, and that's Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I just saw that his numbers. He's thrown 52 touchdowns to 9 interceptions.
Yeah. See, I didn't even look at his stats.
That's pretty good.
They talked about it before the season. Yeah, that's extremely good. So yeah, I'm going to go with them if I had to. So yeah, I'll go with Western Kentucky, I guess.
Okay, I like that. And then the other game in the night game, a rematch from just a couple weeks ago, the Pac-12 championship game, Oregon versus Utah. Utah is minus 3.
Another interesting line, considering they just whooped the heck out of Oregon. They're only minus 3 this time. Man, I don't know,
because you're on a neutral field now. You're not you're not at Utah. So that's
sure.
why the line is minus 3.
And it's hard to beat teams twice in a row like that.
Yeah,
but they did whoop. At the same time, they did whoop them pretty good. I'm gonna stay with Utah. They already proved they could beat them. They beat them bad last time. Maybe it's closer this time. But I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with Utah.
Okay. For Friday for me, I'm gonna go UTSA plus 3. I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that the entire city of San Antonio is gonna be at the game, and they're gonna be behind. Yeah, for sure it will be sold out. I know that there's some promo that they're doing for UTSA students where all student athlete tickets are paid for, or excuse me, just student tickets. If you're a student at UTSA, you get in the game for free. So they're really trying to pack that dome, which they can. It's a huge stadium. So, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And if they win, I even venture to say that they might rush the field. So who knows? But as far as Oregon and Utah goes, I'll take Oregon plus 3. I will. It's a neutral site. It's in Vegas.
You're taking both dogs.
Both dogs. Yeah, I'm taking both dogs on this one. I think, like you said, it's harder to beat teams twice. They're conference opponents. I think Oregon took more from that loss than Utah probably could, because they're the ones that lost, and they ruined their playoff chances. So I think they're out for revenge. They're trying to get that Rose Bowl berth, man. They're out for some blood. I think they're out for some blood. So I got Oregon plus 3.
You could look at it that way, or you could look at it as, hey, we had college football playoff hopes. Those are dashed now, so we're not really going to come out 100%, and then they end up getting rolled again. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with their mindset, which team really wants to win the game. So I don't know. It's a tough one, but both of them, I don't know if I took either. I don't think I put either of those in my 14 parlay for the championship. Just because, both of those lines were interesting, and there's, I didn't know. So yeah, I'll lean Utah, and I'll lean Western Kentucky.
Okay, I got a few more I'm gonna throw at you. Just to be a little quick on these. Big 12 championship game Saturday. Baylor versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State needs this game because they can potentially make the playoff. They're minus 5.5.
Give me Baylor. I don't know if they're going to win the game, but minus 5.5. I'd probably buy. I think you could buy up to a 1.5. I'd probably buy that 1.5 and run it all the way to 7 for Baylor. But yeah, I'm gonna take Baylor in that one.
It's a rematch from earlier in the season, which Oklahoma State beat them by 10.
Okay, that's fine.
And that was in Stillwater. This one's a neutral site. So
they're more defensive teams. Big 12, it's a championship game. Baylor's not a team that's concerned about, hey, we're not in the playoffs, so we're not going to show up. This would be a huge win for Baylor. So
Yeah, huge one for
Yeah,
Baylor.
I think it'll be a close, fun game. Maybe probably lean more on the defensive side, but I think it'll be fun.
I'm gonna take the opposite, Josh. I think it's gonna be a blowout. I think Oklahoma State's gonna blow them out, and I think they're gonna try to make a statement. And I think they're gonna really try to prove their point that, assuming Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship game, Oklahoma State isn't a question to make the playoffs. So I think they're gonna blow them out to make a statement, so they can fittingly make that fourth spot.
I'm sure they're going to try to blow them out. I don't think the gap in talent is that wide.
You said that against Oklahoma.
It was close.
It was close, but it was shocking. To me, it was shocking how many points they put up against Oklahoma.
That was shocking. Yes, that was shocking, but it was still close.
Yeah.
I mean, they covered the spread, but it was, it was back. That was a close game.
Actually, I'm looking at the score from the Oklahoma game. It was 37-33. And so you had them +4, and so they pushed.
So I got to push.
Yeah.
I push. There you go.
So you went 3-1.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. Okay. Let's do Mountain West. Okay. Mountain West, Utah State versus San Diego State. Conference championship game. San Diego State is -6. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you I got Utah State +6.
I got San Diego State to win the game. You know what? No, I'm taking Utah State. I'll buy the points, push it as low as I can to like -5, 4.5, or something like that. But I think San Diego State's just a better team all around.
Yeah, they are, but not -6 though.
I don't know. Utah State's a shocker just to be in the championship game. They weren't expected to be. I think they were picked like last in their division or second to last. They got their first-year head coach that came over from Arkansas State this year. They definitely overachieved. They've had a hell of a season. But I think up front is where San Diego State might wear them down a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to take San Diego State to cover that. For a while, it'd probably be close, but I think San Diego State might wear them down a little bit.
Okay. Your favorite conference, second to none, Sun Belt, championship game, Appalachian State versus Louisiana. Appalachian State -3. Who do you got?
Man, it's tough. So Louisiana's coach is leaving. Finally, he's done a hell of a job.
Florida Gators, baby. Florida Gators. For those that don't know,
he's earned that job. He's had a hell of a run. He's had other opportunities to leave, but he stuck it out. He built that program up. And this is what they've been waiting for. App State has owned their number until this year. I think Louisiana blew them out in the regular season. But in the previous few years, not counting COVID year, App State, App State has been the one team that has had Louisiana and Coach Billy Napier's number. If you look, I don't remember the exact record, but they've owned them. So this is the hump they've been looking to get over the last few years. So this is a huge game. I think Louisiana is going to pull this one out. They blew them out in the regular season. I think, and they've been wanting this conference championship outright. Technically, last year they got a co-championship because the Sun Belt Championship got canceled. But Coastal beat them in the regular season, so really Coastal was a champion last year. I think Louisiana gets it done. I don't know. Is Napier coaching this game? Do you know?
That I don't know. I don't know that.
I was wondering that. I don't know if he is.
That's a good question.
I hope he is.
I don't know that. It would be cool if he was. I understand if he's not. Obviously, the players shouldn't be bitter towards that. That's not a Brian Kelly or Lincoln Riley situation. But I have Louisiana +3. It's at Louisiana. Louisiana beat the brakes off of them in the regular season.
That's a strange line. You said Louisiana's +3?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's a strange line. No, man. I think
so. Would you say that's the lock of the week?
That might be my lock. They are now. I'm thinking about it. They're in my 14 parlay. I think I bought 2 points and pushed it up to a +5. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
That's fair.
Pretty good about that.
I like that. I'm with you, man. I Louisiana +3, baby. Let's go. Lock of the week. Go get your credit cards. Let's go. Hey, this other one, I'm looking at it and I'm very confident in this one. Georgia versus Alabama, huge SEC championship game, playoff implications, everything, all of the above. Georgia is favored -6.5. I got Georgia -6.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Georgia has been the most dominant team in college football this year. Bama might be given some points because they're Bama, but Bama hasn't been Bama, Bama,
Yeah,
Bama, Bama.
haven't been Bama. I don't think this game is that close. I think maybe Georgia wins by 10 or 14, but they still cover.
Right. Right. No, yeah. Bama hasn't looked like themselves this year. They played a lot of close games against teams they typically would blow out, even though they only had that one loss still. So yeah, I'll take Georgia to cover. I think they'll bully them up a little bit up front. Not completely bully. Alabama's still loaded with talent, but I think they're gonna be the better team in the trenches. So I'm gonna take Georgia.
Cool. Same. Another one, Houston and Cincinnati. Huge playoff implication games. Again, this weekend, Cincinnati -10.5. I got Cincinnati plus or -10.5. They're gonna
so
out.
Actually, this is probably more of my lock of the week than the Louisiana game.
Okay.
Since he showed up every time they played a big game this year, I don't think that's going to change this week. They've got to win to go to the playoffs. I think they're better where it's the most important, and that's up front, other than quarterback. Of course, the trenches are, I think, huge, and I think they're the dominant team in the trenches in this game, and I think they're gonna bully Houston and blow them out.
Same. Yeah, Houston's going to dominate. They're going to show why they belong in the top 4, even though they are going to be in the top 4. 2 more games left. Big Ten championship game. Again, playoff implications on the line. Michigan versus Iowa. Michigan is -11. Who do you have?
I'm gonna take Iowa. I don't not to win necessarily straight up, but yeah, I just look. Michigan's on a high right now, coming off their huge win against Ohio State. I know they got to win to get in the playoffs, but look, it's just natural for that they're going to come down a little bit. They're not going to be as, I don't think they're coming out of the gates as juiced for this game as they were for that Ohio State game.
Yeah.
I think both of these teams like to run first, so it's going to probably be a lower scoring game. Yeah, I'll take Michigan in a close one.
I got Michigan in a blowout. I don't think Iowa's that good. If anything, they were the biggest frauds to us all year, being as ranked as high as number 2. They got blown out at Wisconsin. They won a nail biter at Nebraska. They won a nail biter at home against Minnesota. They won a nail biter at Northwestern by 5. Michigan, they are on a high. I think they maintain that high because they just beat, one of the best teams in the country in Ohio State. They whooped them. And I mean, this game is just as important as that game. And I think that they see that. So I think they whoop up on Iowa. Also, Michigan's defense is pretty good. And Iowa's offense is not that good. They cannot score. So, that combination right there, I think Iowa or Michigan blows them out.
Okay, cool. I mean, they'd be in the playoffs if they did. So
yeah. Last game, ACC championship game, probably not as awesome as we'd hoped for earlier in the year, but it's still probably going to be a good game. Pittsburgh versus Wake Forest. Pitt -3.
Oh man, I like Wake Forest. I like their quarterback. I like they're a fun team. They don't play a lot of defense.
You like their quarterback. You're saying that you're saying the Wake Forest, you like their quarterback, but you don't like Kenny Pickett, who's an NFL prospect.
I like the way Wake Forest plays, their style of play, I should say. And yeah, I do like their quarterback too. He's been there for years. I think he's a stud. He might not be an NFL type quarterback, but there's always those college quarterbacks that are complete studs. They just don't maybe have the arm strength to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I think is the complete stud at the college game. So, but as far as the game, I think I'm going to lean Pittsburgh in a close one.
Okay.
Their Wake Forest definitely has a weakness on that being defense. Pittsburgh's probably more solid all around.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean Pittsburgh in a close one. Probably a high scoring game.
I'll take Pittsburgh -3 also, especially since now it's at 3, so I wouldn't have to buy a point. I'd be comfortable getting it right at 3. So I'd roll with that. I wouldn't doubt that the game would be a push, but I do think Pittsburgh will win this game. I do think it'll be a 1-score game. But that 1 score means anywhere from 8 to 1. So
Take your chances.
yeah, I'll take my chances. I'll take Pittsburgh -3.
I'm good with that too. I like it.
So cool. That's the money lines, guys. Get your wallet. Get your checks from your aunt and your grandma now, so you can cash them in. Make these bets. Come on, guys. Let's go. You want to make some money? Let's go. Listen to us. Perfect. So now we move on. Talk college football. Josh, the rankings are out. Ohio State just lost. I mean, tell me, what are your thoughts or reactions? Did they get the rankings right? Does everything look good to you? I know there's only one more rankings after this.
I haven't had a chance to do my own rankings this week. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this week or if I'm just going to wait till the final week before the college football playoffs come out. But I kind of glanced at it, and the things that stick out off top are, look, Ohio State lost. We knew they were going to fall. We knew Michigan was going to fly into the top 4. And rightfully so. Those things were all is good there. The thing I noticed, Alabama struggled mightily against Auburn, a 6-6 Auburn team. They've struggled in multiple games this year against teams that aren't that good.
Yeah.
And they stayed put at 3, and Cincinnati stayed behind them at 4. And then if you also look a little bit lower than that, you'll notice Oklahoma State's right there at 5. So if things fall, there could be a scenario where Cincinnati wins and still is left out. And I think maybe that's why the rankings state are where they are, because it kind of, if you kind of just glance at it, that thought can pop in your head.
Sure.
Look, if Oklahoma State beats Baylor this week and Bama's
they beat Georgia.
They beat Georgia. Then possibly Oklahoma State jumps Cincy for that 4th spot. Whereas if they would have put Cincy at 3 and dropped Bama to 4 this past weekend, it would have been a little bit more difficult for them to justify doing so. So that's probably what sticks out to me the most.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. I think, Alabama struggled against a not so great Auburn team. I understand it's a rivalry, but you still are you still are what your record says you are. Alabama's record says that they're a lot better than Auburn, and that game was a nail biter. And if it wasn't for the sorry rule change of the overtime, I don't know that Alabama would have won this game. Which I hate these overtime rules.
Yeah, it's trash.
My top 4 was Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Alabama. So I had Michigan leapfrogging Alabama, rightfully so. I don't get it. It's definitely a love for Alabama that they have them in the top 4.
I think they should be top 4 still, but I think I'd have them at 4.
Sure, I have them at 4 too. I have them at 4 too. But if we're to be correct from our picks, then they'll get blown out, or not blown out, but they'll lose, so they won't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Now,
look, man, I want fresh blood in these playoffs, so it's not like I hate Alabama. There's no reason for me to hate.
Hey,
Alabama.
Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State. That's all fresh blood. That's pretty cool.
Exactly, but for that to happen, Bama's got to lose. So
yeah.
But if Bama does lose, then we got some new stuff in there. We're gonna get a little bit of new stuff regardless, but that'd be exciting.
So my question was gonna be: Is Cincinnati are they a lock for the playoffs? And you just you teetered on that a little bit.
Definitely not a lock. Look, they're not in a power conference or whatever you want to call it. So there's no such thing as a lock. And the way I just kind of explained it, how they have these rankings set up, tells me they're not a lock. It tells me that if Oklahoma State took care of Baylor and maybe Cincy won a close one against Houston, there's a scenario where they could get jumped for that 4th spot. So no, they're not a lock. They have a very good chance. They have the best chance ever from a non power conference. And if they win, I think they'll get in, but they're not a lock.
Okay, that's fine. I'd like to think they're a lock because they are gonna drag the committee to hell and back if Cincinnati goes undefeated and they don't put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's people already calling for this whole system to be blown up, but
Yeah,
they're going to be coming out the woodworks if Cincy gets screwed.
yeah.
It's coming up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're excited. I'm excited. I mean, the huge weekend, conference championship weekend. It don't get better. I mean, rivalry weekend is awesome. Also, obviously, we saw some great games.
Yeah, 2 straight weeks of hopefully great football. Last week was awesome. So,
and then the Sunday right after conference championships is Selection Sunday. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's see who gets in. Cool. So we talk college football. We talked the playoff rankings, all that jazz. Let's talk about the real news in college football. Lincoln Riley leaving OU on a dime. He claims that it was just a phone call that he had the morning of, changed his mind. That's what he said. Obviously, we're calling BS.
Yeah, let's go out to USC on the dime. One call.
Yeah, he said, they lose to Oklahoma State Saturday night. He announces that he's the head coach at USC Sunday afternoon. He said that he hadn't talked to them. First time he talked to them, he said, was Sunday morning. Do you really?
Unbelievable. I don't like to call people liars. I don't know, but that is jeez. If that's the case, you make decisions that quick. Those kind of decisions. Geez, wow, that's crazy. That's hard to believe. I'm just gonna say that. That's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. And then on the other side, you have Brian Kelly, head coach of Notre Dame. He leaves for LSU. The way the players found out was through ESPN before the coach. He sends a text out that gets leaked to the media. He then has a press conference with this team, or just a one-on-one meeting with this team this morning that lasted about 4.5 minutes.
I heard 11 minutes.
Oh no, it would last. No, he was from the time he walked into the building to the time he left the building was 11 minutes. But from the meeting itself, it was I think it was 4 minutes 11 seconds, something like that. And then somebody filmed the meeting and they leaked it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. He said what he said thank you from the bottom of my heart, and then he just walked off and nobody said anything. Nobody clapped, nobody cried, nobody did anything.
Really?
He walked away. So my question is, who does this impact more, Oklahoma or Notre Dame?
Notre Dame. Look, Oklahoma has established themselves as one of the great college football programs over the last 20 years, regardless if Lincoln Riley was their coach. Bob Stoops had them up there toward the upper echelon of the college football powers previously. Notre Dame, they were before they had Brian Kelly. So I don't know what Notre Dame's going to become after Brian Kelly leaves. I'm pretty sure Oklahoma's going to be okay. It's easier to recruit at Oklahoma because they don't have the same standards as far as academics go. I don't believe.
Yeah. And they're going to be in the SEC now.
And they're going to be in the SEC. So yeah, I think it definitely impacts Notre Dame more than it does. If those were the teams, if those are the two teams we're talking about, then Oklahoma. Yeah.
I disagree. What Lincoln did to Oklahoma, he very much betrayed them. And not only did he betray Oklahoma, he betrayed Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops signed off on him. This is a big backstab to the University of Oklahoma. And there's a lot of things coming out about this that isn't looking good. Obviously, it doesn't matter anymore because he's going to be at USC, but it just doesn't look good for Oklahoma. I heard, obviously, he's taking some coaches with him to USC. I heard that he had coaches undercover, quote unquote, at USC that were recruiting for him throughout the season for
Really?
Lincoln Riley. And
Where are you hearing this from? Is this reliable information?
multiple sources, man. I can't reveal my sources.
No, but have you really heard from? Has there been
Yes.
multiple sources?
Yes. And then also another one that I'm hearing is that players are now they're decommitting from Oklahoma, and there's current players on the Oklahoma roster that are putting themselves in the transfer portal to go to USC. So a lot of these players are following Lincoln Riley to USC. I'm thinking that hurts Oklahoma more.
I mean, maybe in the near year or two, but I think OU is going to be fine. Look, I think they got Bob Stoops as their interim coach right now.
Yeah.
Who's to say he doesn't come back?
I don't think he comes back. He's looking for a successor. He's looking for someone to replace him. I know one guy that they looked at was Brent Venables.
Hey, perhaps, but look, Bob Stoops, you have Bob Stoops as your interim head coach. That's a nice way to kind of calm everything down.
Sure. That's good. That's like,
a lot of these players at bay as far as, hey, we're Oklahoma. I'm Bob Stoops. We're gonna be this program's gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
So look, there's players decommitting, there's players that are transferring, but as a whole, for the most part, I think most people are gonna stay at Oklahoma. That's at Oklahoma now. And I think they're still going to be able to recruit solidly. Again, Oklahoma, they've established themselves as a top program, regardless of who the coach was over the past 20 years. Notre Dame has not. That's why I'm more concerned for Notre Dame moving forward than I am Oklahoma.
Okay, that's fair. Here's a funny little tidbit on Lincoln Riley. He's obviously now head coach of the University of Southern California Trojans. Lincoln Riley, his wife, and his kids, they have 2 dogs. Their dogs' name are Boomer and Sooner. So what do you do with the dogs? Do you have to get rid of them? Do you have to put them down? Do you have to change their name? Do you have to add more dogs? How does this work? What do you do with the dogs?
No, what you do is you suck it up and you keep their names as Boomer Sooner, because from what, look, I don't know. I don't want to throw shade on him because I don't know exactly what happened. But if all the stuff I'm hearing and seeing on Twitter is true, then yeah, he did Oklahoma pretty damn dirty. So yeah, if all that's true, then yeah, you keep them as Boomer Sooner and you just suck it up.
Man, he's gonna be the only person in LA with dogs named Boomer and Sooner. Okay.
Anyway, goodness gracious.
And then to end on this note, Brian Kelly, with everything that happened and having the conference he did with his team, the private meeting, do you think he was in the wrong?
As far as what?
As far as how he left, as far as messaging his team and then finding out through social media and then having this short meeting that he had with them.
So he messaged the team first or no?
No, the team found out through ESPN and through other outlets that he was left to LSU before.
Yeah, that always sucks. I don't like that. Yeah, if you're gonna leave, man, and it's gonna get out there, you're already letting people know, media know, whoever, and it's gonna get out there. Look, tell your team first. These are the players that you sold on coming to Notre Dame. You've been there for 10 plus years, so they figure you're gonna continue to be there. If you know you're going to be leaving, let them know as soon as roughly that but certainly before the media is going to get a hold of it and get it out there. So, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it. Just be upfront with your team.
Football is a business.
It is a business, but it's still bigger than a business. Like, look, man, these are supposed to be like your family. Football is supposed to be like a family. So you're promising these players things, you're telling them things, you're selling them on coming to the university, partially because you're going to be there and you're going to be leading the helm. So if you're not going to be there, let these people know so they can make decisions based on the facts and not some lie you're selling them.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I think, from the perspective of, he recruited players that were all over the country and they had their trust in him and faith in him. At the end of the day, it's a business. It works all the way around. If he wasn't doing a good job,
it's a little different to me. In the NFL and college are a little different. Like, these are literally kids. When you're recruiting these players, they're literally kids still when you're recruiting them. Like, a lot of these kids don't even know how this stuff works. Like there's this dude I worked with. He ended up playing for Fresno State. This guy I work with, and he had the year before, like his junior year, he was getting calls from much larger schools than Fresno State, and he just kind of brushed them off. Like he kind of talked to them, but he just waited. He was still a junior. And then come his senior year, like none of these schools wanted him anymore. And there's only like Fresno State and New Mexico State that I think wanted him. Like this dude had nobody to guide him. My point is, like, these kids don't really even understand the business at all, or even the recruiting process at all. Like, at least kind of be upfront with these kids when you're talking to them, so they can have a better idea of what they're going to do for the next 4, 5, 6 years of their life. Where they're going to live. They're going to live in California. They're going to live in Alabama. Look, a lot of this has to do with what you're telling them. So if you're just lying to them the whole time, and then they end up somewhere, and then it could ruin their future.
Yeah, that's true. All good points. We'll see how they fare. I think specifically for Lincoln Riley, obviously coming from Oklahoma, I'm a UT guy, Longhorn, hook 'em. I think he was ducking going to the SEC. It seems very evident that he was ducking going to the SEC.
It does look like that, considering he didn't go to LSU. He doesn't roll Oklahoma to the SEC. I don't know if that's all the case, but it kind of looks like that. And look, I think the Pac-12 is going to be an easier place for him to win than the SEC. So,
for sure. But I mean, that's just like, it almost feels like, even though it's really not the same thing, it feels like a Kevin Durant going to a Golden State move. Like, why would you not stick it out with them? Especially since brighter things are on the horizon for Oklahoma, that they're joining the SEC. That's huge. So they thought they had their future planned.
And Bob Stoops kind of like handpicked him, right?
Handpicked him, man. He handpicked him. This is why this is a slap in the back to him too.
Yeah, I don't really like what he stuck around for 5 years or so. That's it.
Yeah, 5, 6 years, something like that. Yeah.
Not that long. So yeah, I don't like that. I don't really like that either. But hey, like you said, it is a business at the end of the day. So what can you do?
Well, from one business to the other, man, let's go to the hardwood. Talking NBA. NBA is in full force right now. We had a huge game the other night. Golden State versus Phoenix. Phoenix topped it out. Phoenix is on a 17-game winning streak as of today. By the time this airs, I don't know if that will be extended or ended, but as of today, Phoenix and Golden State are both 18-3, absolutely crushing the field. Josh, who's your pick to take the West? Is it Phoenix? Is it Golden State? Or are you going to take the field?
I'm going to go with one of them because my favorite is Phoenix right now. My favorite is Phoenix. But Golden State, once they get Clay, a healthy Clay Thompson back, they can be up there as well. I don't really love anybody else in the West right now. So if I get those two options for the field, I'm taking those two options.
I am too. And I know we've talked about this before already, and we like, Golden State, they're having a heck of a run. They're crushing it. Steph Curry's having an MVP year. They'll get Klay Thompson back. If any team was above them, I would be like, well, Golden State will figure it out. They have the experience. They have the pedigree. They've been here before. Well, so has Phoenix. They just came here. So now I'm really torn. But I'll take either of those teams.
I thought Phoenix would win it last year because of the way their
team was set up.
Their roster's built.
Yeah.
Again, that was their first time even there, though, and they went all the way to the finals. Milwaukee had been there; they pulled it out. But yeah, I'm sold on this Phoenix roster, the way it's built. They got that experience last year, making that run to the NBA Finals. I got year 2 with CP3 running the helm as far as being kind of the leader of the team or whatnot. Some more time for those younger guys to grow. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole roster is back from last year. As far as their key players and everything, I think the entire roster is back. So I'm sold on this Phoenix team. That's my squad right now. But I also really like Golden State, especially at Golden State with the healthy Klay Thompson. So if you're giving me those two teams, yeah, I'm definitely rolling with that.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm taking Suns or the Warriors. I like you said, I don't know who else would take the West. I don't take the Jazz seriously. I'm not taking the Clippers seriously. I don't even know when and if Kawhi is going to play ever again. I don't know. And the Lakers, I mean, by the time we even get to the playoffs, I'm sure they would have already applied for Social Security and
or half the roster is going to be different by the time we get to the playoffs. So
yeah, no kidding.
Who knows what's going to happen with them? But yeah, definitely not sold on them on that squad. So yeah, I think if you're giving those two teams our field at this point, I feel like it's pretty safe bet to go with those two.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see, man. Looking forward to, obviously, NBA is going to be more and more in gear as we go on. But we still got plenty of football to talk about, both college and NFL. College, huge games this weekend, conference championship games, then Selection Sunday. We're going to break down some bowl games, talk about some of our favorite bowl games that we're looking forward to, talk about the playoffs, or who we think we're going to win. And then the NFL, obviously, the ever-changing week of the NFL, our power rankings. That changes, all the time because of injuries and whatnot. But looking forward to it. Kind of just reading some sports news out there, Josh. I know something that we don't talk about that much is baseball, but I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the Major League Baseball is looking like they're headed towards a lockout.
Really? Again?
Yeah, again.
Gosh.
I
don't like that. It seems to happen in baseball. They why does this happen in baseball like frequently?
So I don't know enough front office baseball talks to sound smart. So this may come off ignorant and completely wrong, but I know that they don't have a salary cap in baseball. So I don't know if that's part of it.
Yeah, it could be. It could be as far as negotiation talks go and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. And yeah, that sucks though for baseball. It's not good. Like baseball is it's that fourth sport after the NBA and the NFL and
NHL.
Oh, it's the third. It might be the third.
It's the third one.
It's a far third sport behind the NFL and NBA. So they need, if they want to stay up there, man, they can't have this bad publicity on them like too often. It's too often.
Lockout's not good. Lockout's not good. Also, it's not good because you're pretty much the only sport during the summer. So, figure it out. We're not trying to watch reruns or cross country or track meets, figure it out. We need something to watch this summer.
Yeah, I agree. They need to figure it out. They don't need to lose fans. They need to gain more fans. So
yes, that's an issue. That is an issue. So hopefully they do figure it out. But guys, Christmas is around the corner. We'll be doing some Christmas talks, talking about our favorite movies, favorite pastimes, maybe favorite gifts we've gotten as kids. We'll probably end up outdating you guys when we start name dropping Super Nintendos and Sega Genesis at you guys and not PlayStations. But nonetheless, keep a lookout. Let us know who your MVP front runner is in the NFL, which college teams you think are going to make the top four in the playoffs, and also who's taking the West in the NBA. Is it the Warriors, the Suns, or the Field? Drop a comment. Let us know. Get at us. Check us out, Instagram and TikTok at Those Two Dudes Podcast. Those Two Dudes, Facebook and Twitter. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Click all those buttons, like and subscribe, share, notification bell, thumbs up, everything in between, guys. Check us out. Peace.